What's your opinion on religion? For example, I'm coming from Ukraine. I'm a Christian Orthodox.
Okay.
I've been a Christian Orthodox for my entire life, and sometimes I ask myself whether I'm Christian Orthodox because I think I should be, or because my parents thought I should be, and they've told me I should be, and I've just taken it as granted that I'm Christian Orthodox. And it's the way I am now, and I've analyzed it, and I think I understand it relatively well. But what has been your path with religion?
I've grown up in the most atheist area in the UK, Brighton and Hove. So there are the least religious people there out of any city in the UK, percentage-wise. And my parents are very much, they have their own beliefs, but they're very quiet about it. My dad is religious, but never speaks about it. And my mum is atheist-leaning, but never speaks about it. So I've been left to sort of work stuff out myself, which is fun. But, you know, I've never grown up going to church. I'd never been to church until like a year ago when I went with a friend. So my experience has very much been like yours was maybe being a nominal Christian where you're called a Christian, but you don't necessarily hold the values. I don't know, but that's what happens with a lot of people that are raised Christian. They're nominal.
Oh, that's true.
Was a nominal atheist, not because I held this strong belief that God can't exist and everything can be explained by science, just because that's the surroundings I was brought up in.
But what's exciting for me with not religious people, with atheists, is that how do you believe the planet was formed? How do you believe everything began? Where do you believe this all came from?
It's a difficult question to answer, and I think for me, it's the most difficult question to answer. The whole kalam,
because it's impossible to answer.
Absolutely. It's impossible to comprehend, and I think anyone that prescribes you an answer out their pocket, whether they're religious or not, is a con artist. But, you know, arguments like the Kalam cosmological argument, all of these different arguments for how the universe was created, they're super hard to contend with as an atheist. And I think that's the real thing that I'm probably actually putting off thinking about properly, because it's so terrifying and you can't even conceive of the answer, is things like how the universe was created, how the world was created, time, all of that stuff. I think that's much harder to argue with than the typical apologetics of suffering and free will and consciousness, whatever.
Coming back to the question of our society evolving and a lot of globalization happening, I think many of the people who are voting for populist parties, for example, are searching for that kind of answer, that they're going to be saved from that globalization, because many of the people don't live in London, nor any of the other industrious large cities, and many of the people, quite frankly, spend time in small towns. And this globalization is pretty much a disaster for them, because it's going to, without any exaggeration, take their jobs. It's going to, quite frankly, take their jobs, take their income, and especially AI, especially some of the stuff that they've been able to do in factories, that is able to now substitute the normal farmer, for example, in some way. How big do you think those problems are? And I can see clearly populists, and in the US, Donald Trump has done the same thing. He has appealed to the poorest, pretty much, people who feel lost in the society because of this globalization happening, because of a lot of immigration, because of other things which are attributed towards our world developing, moving forward.
Yeah, I don't really understand, because I'm not completely in the loop politically, what people actually mean nowadays by populism, because the way I hear the word, surely it's a great thing to be a populist because you're elected by the masses, and it sounds like it gets used to slander people, that they're appealing to, I don't know, dumber people or lower status people. Like that seems like a very elitist belief to hold. So I don't know, maybe I'm misunderstanding it, but I don't see the problem with populism. I can see that it's going to keep on rising and rising. And I think that it's been oversaid so many times on all these political podcasts, but Europe's going to keep on shifting right. That's just inevitable. I don't know what's going to happen in America. I think it's very much in Trump's hands and Vance's hands and the people around them. But in Europe, I mean, I was in Amsterdam 2 days ago and I walked through the central town square and I walked through 30 minutes before a random guy, I think he's been identified as coming from Romania now, that he was a migrant from Romania. He just let loose and stabbed 5 people.
Still from
for no
Europe,
reason. Still from Europe, which is even crazier. Like, what do you do when it's not just
I mean, how is it crazier? You can't just blame the other nationalities, or in which way is it crazier?
It's crazy that you've got no borders in Europe because you've got the EU, you've got the Schengen area, all these people can transfer across, and that's built on trust, and that trust is being breached, right? At least with people coming over from elsewhere in the world, people can flog their political dead horse of Islamism and whatever, but like, it's not just them, it's cultures mixing, and it's all of this uncontrolled migration. So I need to think more carefully on it, but I can see that things aren't working, and I can see that mass migration is causing problems, mass uncontrolled migration, and something needs to be done. And I get scared saying that because it sounds like a racist thing to believe, but like, when you've got in the news every week people that aren't from Germany crashing cars into people, you've got people being stabbed in Amsterdam, Southport in the UK, whatever, although that guy was born in Wales, there's a whole debate about that, his parents. Something's not working, it's not adding up, and we need to work out what we can do from here. I don't have any answers, but I can see that people are getting seriously agitated, and it's trending in one direction, which is clamping down on it very hard. And maybe that's not for the best, but that's the direction it's going in, because the incompetent leaders aren't doing anything about it. They're keeping hush because they're scared of getting cancelled.
So answering your question that you said, what is populism? Populism is mostly, you're right, populism is mostly being talked as something negative, as in something that, for example, some leader like Nigel Farage is going to exploit the fear or concerns of the people, not for the good, but for his own benefit in order to come to power now. We don't know. And I personally don't know where this term came from, populism. But I don't know if it's a positive thing. I would probably say no, because what you would describe as like just a person rising to power and people being quite enthusiastic to vote for him is probably not populism, is just quite a competent leader offering his solutions. So I don't know, but it's surely going to, it seems like Europe is going to be moving right for quite a long time now. And the timeline that it's going to be moving right, I think entirely depends on Trump. Many people who are right-wing, many people who support populist leaders support Trump and lay very much a lot of trust, a lot of hope on him, and hope that he will deliver. And I hope he will, I hope he will keep the promise of his election to solve the war in Ukraine, to keep all the sides happy. And with this positive point, I would like to end our podcast. Thank you so much for allowing me into your studio, introducing me. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.